You are the master of your fate. Let's begin. I want you to prepare to discover a hidden treasure within your family line, spiritual gifts woven into the very fabric of your lineage. You might be surprised to learn how the experiences and knowledge of your ancestors are directly influencing your path and empowering you to fulfill your destiny. This isn't just history, it's a profound blueprint for your future. I am going to show you where to look for these spiritual gifts, the very ones you never knew you were given. I'll reveal how your past is whispering to your present, and before we end, I'll give you a concrete assignment to start decoding your own unique blueprint right now. This is not about ghosts, it's about purpose. This is not a theory, it is a master key. Too many people act as if they arrived here out of thin air. They believe they are a blank slate, a perfectly clean canvas with no history, no foundation, no past. I tell you, this is the most dangerous kind of ignorance. It is a fool's errand to think you can build a house on nothing. The truth is, you didn't just appear. You're the product of generations of struggle, sacrifice, triumph, and vision. Their lives, their choices, their definiteness of purpose, or their lack of it, created a chain, and you are a link in that chain. Every story you carry in your blood, every lesson that was learned at great cost, every victory that was won against all odds. It all funneled down through time, through mothers and fathers, through grandmothers and grandfathers, and landed right here in you. You may not know their names, you may have never met them, but their courage is a part of your courage. Their resilience is a part of your resilience. A man who ignores his roots is like a tree trying to grow in the air. He is weak, he is ungrounded, he is without power. I had a student once, a young man who was brilliant, driven, and full of ambition, but he could not seem to find his footing. He would start a project with great enthusiasm, only to abandon it a few weeks later. He told me he felt like he was pushing against a relentless current, always fighting, always exhausted. He was not only fighting the present moment, he was fighting his past. We dug into his family history. We learned of a great-grandfather who was a successful inventor, a man who saw solutions where others saw only problems. He was filled with a purpose so strong it burned through the night. But we also learned of a grandfather who, after a small failure, had simply given up, retreating into a life of quiet resignation. This young man had inherited both. He had the fire of the inventor, but he also had the pattern of retreat etched into his spirit. He had the blueprint of greatness, but he was following the instructions for quitting. This is what I mean by a spiritual inheritance. It's not about ghosts. It's about energy. It's about patterns. It's about the very real, very tangible residue of the past that guides your hand today. You have a choice. You can either live a life that is a battle against forces you do not understand, or you can become the master of those forces. You can recognize the gifts and the curses. You can learn to lean into the strengths and consciously break the negative patterns. Every moment of indecision, every instance of self-doubt, every fear that holds you back, it may not be entirely your own. It may be an echo. It may be a whisper from the past that you have been conditioned to hear. The man who is afraid to ask for more money because his ancestors were taught to be grateful for scraps is not just a man with low self-worth. He is a man who is blindly following a blueprint of scarcity. The woman who cannot accept a compliment because generations of women before her were taught to be quiet and small is not just a woman with a confidence problem. She is carrying the weight of a past she doesn't even know. I tell you this not to give you an excuse, but to give you power. You cannot know where you are going if you do not understand where you have been. Do you feel stuck? Do you feel restless? Do you feel as though your life is a constant push against an unseen wall? It is time to stop. It is time to turn around and look at the foundation you were given. You are a link in a golden chain, a chain that can either drag you down or lift you to your purpose. It is time to choose. I learned a great deal about legacy from a man like Andrew Carnegie. He didn't just build a fortune, he built a system of thought, a system that lived on and is still living on long after he was gone. He understood that what you pass on isn't just money. It's not just a collection of assets or a name in a history book. It is a spirit, a way of seeing the world. Carnegie's vision wasn't just about steel. It was about the purpose that steel could serve. It was about building, about industry, about moving a nation forward. That spirit, that definiteness of purpose, became his true legacy. It was his spiritual DNA, and it continues to influence those who study his life and his work to this day. What if I told you that you have inherited the same kind of spiritual DNA? The tenacity of an ancestor who survived great hardship, the innovation of one who created something from nothing, the fierce loyalty of a grandparent who protected their family against all odds. These are not just stories you hear at family reunions, they are intuitive energies within you. They are the echoes of a wisdom so profound it requires no words to be heard. You feel it in your gut, you feel it in your bones. It is that sense of, I can do this, even when you don't know how. It is that certainty that a problem has a solution, even when the path is not yet clear. Think of a river. It is made up of countless drops of water, each with its own journey, but together they form a powerful, singular force. Your life is that river. It is the culmination of every individual journey that came before you. The resilience that helped your great-grandmother cross an ocean is not gone. It is a drop in your river. The courage that allowed your grandfather to start a business with nothing but a handshake is not forgotten. It is a drop in your river. These aren't just abstract ideas. They are the very forces that can either propel you forward or leave you fighting against yourself. The man who is a natural problem solver might be tapping into a deep lineage of innovators. The woman who is a natural caregiver might be drawing on generations of compassion. The challenge and the opportunity is to recognize these gifts, to stop dismissing them as coincidence or luck, and to start seeing them for what they are, profound spiritual advantages given to you for a purpose. We spend so much time looking for new tools, new strategies, new answers out in the world. I tell you, a part of the greatest answer you will ever find is already inside of you. It is etched into your soul by the lives that came before you. Your task is to become quiet enough to listen, to put aside the noise of a world that screams for your attention, and to hear the subtle, persistent whisper of your lineage. It is a whisper of wisdom, of purpose, of strength. When you learn to hear it, and when you begin to consciously use it, you will stop pushing against the current and begin to flow with it. Your path will feel not like a struggle, but like a destiny. Because the gifts you were meant to use are not ones you must acquire, they are ones you must simply rediscover. It is a powerful revelation, and it is the key to unlocking the true force of your own potential. This is not a matter of waiting for a sign. The spiritual blueprint of your lineage is not going to fall from the sky and land in your lap. You must become a detective. You must go looking for the evidence. I have seen too many people spend their lives searching for their purpose in the clouds when the clues were buried right in the soil beneath their feet. Look at your family history. Do you see patterns? A line of teachers, a lineage of entrepreneurs, an unending thread of compassion, a family of builders, of creators, of people who worked with their hands to make something from nothing? It is not a coincidence. This is your first and most powerful clue. I had a student once, a brilliant young man I was mentoring. He was stuck, unable to commit to any single path, filled with a restless anxiety he could not shake. He had a job that was safe, paid well, and offered no true satisfaction. He felt a constant pull toward art, toward creation, but dismissed it as a useless hobby. He was convinced his purpose was to work in a sterile office, to chase a title that felt hollow. I told him we would not continue until he told me the stories of his ancestors. He laughed and said, "There are no stories, just ordinary people." I told him there are no ordinary people. Every life is a story waiting to be told. So he went digging. He spoke to his grandfather and his great-aunt, and what he discovered was a man he had never known, his great-grandfather, a master carpenter. Not just a builder, but an artist who built with a craftsman's love. A man who felt a deep satisfaction in the scent of sawdust in the perfect fit of two pieces of wood. A man who was forced by circumstance to abandon his true love and take a factory job to provide for his family. And he discovered that his grandfather, too, had a hidden passion for design, but had never acted on it out of fear of financial insecurity. The young man saw it then. The restlessness he felt was not a flaw, it was a ghost. It was the unfulfilled purpose of his ancestors echoing in his own heart. The love for creation, the need to build something real, it was a part of his spiritual DNA. He had been taught to believe in safety over satisfaction, in security over soul, but his spirit was screaming for its true inheritance. That knowledge didn't just give him a new career path, it gave him a reason for his restlessness. It gave him permission to listen to the call that had always been there. This is why you must go looking for the evidence. It may be a family history of generosity, and your purpose lies in philanthropy. It may be a history of innovation, and your purpose is to build something new. It is a powerful thing to discover that the very thing you thought was a burden, that restless feeling, that deep-seated pull towards something unexplainable, is in fact the greatest gift you have been given. The spiritual blueprint is not always written in a book. It is often written in the choices and the sacrifices of those who came before you. Your task is to simply read the clues they left behind. The wisdom you've inherited is not always written in a book. It is not always found in the public records of your family's history. It is a whisper, a hunch, a knowing. It is the language of the soul, spoken to you by those who came before. You see, the great truths and the hard-won lessons are not just passed down in stories. They are passed down in a deeper, more profound way, through intuition, through dreams, through that quiet, unwavering voice inside you that you have learned to ignore. I had a man come to me once, a man who had built a successful career in a trade he hated. Every day was a battle. He was a master of his craft, but his heart was not in it. He was presented with an opportunity to invest in a completely new industry. On paper, it was a terrible risk. Every logical sign, every financial advisor, every person he trusted told him to walk away. But he told me he had a feeling, not a desire, not a hope, a deep, unshakable feeling of certainty. It was as if someone had placed a knowing in his mind and told him, "This is the way." It felt like a memory, a path he had walked before. He couldn't explain it, but he listened. He walked away from his safe career, he took the risk, and he built a new empire. A career that filled his spirit, not just his bank account. After he had succeeded, we talked about that moment. He said, "It was my father's ghost in my head." I told him it was not a ghost. It was the wisdom of his lineage. His father and his father's father were men who had built things from scratch. Not with money, but with vision. They had cultivated a spirit of possibility, of trust in the unknown. And that spirit was still there, in the son, waiting to be heard. The son's intuition wasn't a random feeling. It was a spiritual inheritance. It was his blueprint talking to him. This is the nonverbal way that wisdom is transmitted. It is the gut feeling that tells you to trust a stranger or to pull away from a bad deal. It is the dream that seems to offer a solution to a problem you didn't know you had. It is your soul's language, spoken to you by those who came before. The key is to learn to distinguish it from the inner noise. The voice of your purpose, this inherited wisdom, is steady, calm, and firm. It doesn't scream at you, it guides you. The voice of fear, however, is loud, frantic, and filled with doubt. Learning to tell them apart is the most important skill you will ever learn. Your assignment now is simple, but it requires discipline. For the next 24 hours, pay attention to every single intuition or gut feeling you have. When you get a strong nudge to make a phone call, or to pull back from a situation, or to speak a certain truth, simply notice it. Do not act on it, just observe it. This is your first step in learning the language of your own soul. This is the first step in becoming a student of your own spiritual history. You have been given a gift so powerful it can guide your life, if you will only learn to listen. What happens when you ignore this blueprint? What is the cost of living a life that is out of alignment with your spiritual inheritance? A life of constant friction. A life where you feel as though you are pushing against an invisible, unrelenting current. You may achieve what the world calls success, but your soul feels restless, hollow. You are living someone else's life, or worse, a life that has no connection to the purpose you were meant to carry. The man who is a master carpenter but works in an office is not just wasting his talent. He is accumulating a debt to his own spirit. I want you to imagine a man who did everything right. He went to the best schools. He climbed the corporate ladder. He had the corner office, the impressive title, the salary that silenced all his doubts and all his critics. On the outside, he was a living testament to success. But on the inside, he was dying. Every morning he woke up with a quiet dread, not because of a difficult task, but because his work felt meaningless. He was a professional, a specialist, but he felt like he was performing a role, not living a life. He told me he felt like a great actor in a terrible play. He was a success, but he was a stranger to his own soul. This quiet, persistent ache, This is the cost of ignoring your blueprint. This is a profound truth that most people refuse to confront. The feeling of hollowness is not a flaw in your character, it is a signal. It is your spirit's way of telling you that you are off course. The anxiety you feel on Sunday nights, the restlessness that gnaws at you even in moments of rest, the deep sense that something is missing, that is your spiritual blueprint screaming for attention. It is a protest from the soul. Your life is designed to fit a certain purpose, and when you try to force it into a different shape, you create friction. You create pain. The man in the corner office felt this pain, but for years he ignored it. He told himself it was just a part of being a professional. He told himself that satisfaction was a luxury for artists and fools. But the pain grew. It manifested as exhaustion, as a lack of creativity, as a general dissatisfaction that no amount of money could fix. He was a living example of a man who won the race but crossed the wrong finish line. He discovered that the money he was making was not nearly as valuable as the purpose he was meant to fulfill. And the purpose that filled his spirit was rooted in his lineage of men who had built things, not just managed them. He had a deep, inherited desire to see a project from conception to completion, to work with his hands and his mind together. His job had split these two things apart, and his soul was suffering the consequences. I tell you this not to frighten you, but to empower you. If you feel this ache, this friction, this hollowness, it is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that you are on the brink of a profound discovery. It means you have a blueprint waiting for you, and it is time to start building the house you were truly meant to live in. The first step is to simply acknowledge the pain for what it is, a powerful, undeniable signal that it is time to get aligned. This is the most crucial skill you will ever learn. You have two voices inside your head. One is the voice of purpose, a part of your divine inspiration, a fragment of your spiritual blueprint. The other is the voice of fear, an echo of past failures, inherited anxieties, and a world that taught you to be small. The first is your master key. The second is a lock. You must learn to tell them apart, or you will spend your life following the wrong instructions. Think of it like this. The voice of purpose is a calm, quiet, unwavering whisper. It doesn't shout, it simply is. It tells you the truth with a sense of calm certainty. It feels like an expansion in your chest, a sense of rightness, even if the path ahead is difficult. It is the voice that tells you to trust your gut, to take the first step, to persist in the face of doubt. It is your soul speaking to you, guided by the wisdom of your lineage. It says, you can do this. This is who you are. It does not give you all the answers, but it gives you the direction. It is the voice of power. The voice of fear, however, is loud. It is frantic. It is a scream, a torrent of doubt, a ceaseless stream of questions designed to paralyze you. It is the voice that tells you that you are not good enough, that you will fail, that you should wait for a better time. It fills you with anxiety and a sense of contraction. It makes your shoulders tense and your mind race. It is a protective instinct gone rogue, and it is a master of disguise. It will often masquerade as prudence or common sense. It will tell you to play it safe, not because it cares about your growth, but because it fears the unknown. It is the voice of weakness. I watched a man I was mentoring grapple with a life-changing decision. He had an opportunity to leave a secure, unfulfilling job and start a new venture that was aligned with his true passion. His mind, filled with the loud voice of fear, was screaming at him. What if you fail? What will people think? You'll lose everything. It was a powerful, unrelenting assault of doubt. But beneath that noise, there was a quiet, almost imperceptible feeling of rightness, a deep, centered knowing that this was the path he was meant to be on. It was a feeling he had first noticed when he was a child, a feeling he had forgotten about. It was the voice of his purpose, and it was rooted in the entrepreneurial spirit of his ancestors, who had taken risks to build a new life for themselves. He had to learn to quiet the noise and listen to the truth. He had to learn that the path forward wasn't about silencing the fear, but about learning to disregard it. He learned that fear is a reaction, but purpose is a knowing. You cannot be guided by a voice that is afraid of where you are going. You must be guided by a voice that knows you have already arrived. This is your challenge. In the next week, I want you to start paying attention to the feeling behind your thoughts. When a new idea comes to you, when a difficult choice presents itself, when you feel a sudden nudge in a new direction, pay attention. Does it feel like an expansion, a sense of calm power? Or does it feel like a contraction, a sense of frantic panic? The voice that expands you is the voice of your purpose. The voice that shrinks you is the voice of your fear. This simple act of observation is the first step in mastering your own mind and finally hearing the whispers of your spiritual blueprint. You have learned to recognize the voice of purpose and the voice of fear. You have begun to uncover the clues of your lineage. But now you must become intentional. This is not a passive path. You cannot simply wait for the wisdom of your ancestors to arrive on your doorstep. You must invite it in. You must begin the conversation. Too many people seek the big revelation and then become discouraged when it doesn't arrive in a flash of light. I tell you, that is not how the universe works. You are not a spectator, you are a co-creator. This is a profound truth. I have seen countless students of my philosophy fail not because they lacked vision, but because they lacked patience. They would try for a day or a week and then declare that it didn't work. I want you to remember this. A farmer does not plant a seed and demand a harvest the next day. He prepares the soil. He plants the seed with belief, and then he tends to it every single day with the unwavering faith that the harvest will come. That is how you must approach this. You will begin with a simple ritual. This is an act of defiance against a world that screams for your attention every waking moment. This is your moment to get quiet, to prepare the soil of your soul. I suggest you begin with a simple moment of silence each morning or each night before you sleep, just 5 minutes. Sit in a quiet place where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes. And in that stillness, you will ask a question, not in a panicked, desperate way, in a calm, firm, purposeful way. You can ask, what am I meant to be doing? Or, what wisdom from my past can guide me today? Or, what do I need to know about my purpose? You may not get an answer the first time, or the second, or the third. That is not the point. The point is not the answer. The point is the act of asking. The point is the establishment of a line of communication. With each day that you show up, with each time that you ask the question, you are telling the universe that you are serious. You are telling your subconscious mind to begin searching for the answers. You are telling your spiritual blueprint that you are ready to receive the instructions. Your discipline here is what creates the miracle. It is the consistency of your effort that will finally break through the noise of the world and allow the whispers of your purpose to be heard. I have never seen a man who consistently asked for wisdom and did not receive it. The answers may not come in the form you expect. They may come as a new idea, a chance encounter, a book that suddenly falls into your hands, or an unexpected call. But they will come. This is your assignment for the next 7 days. Dedicate just 5 minutes to this simple ritual. It is a powerful act of spiritual alignment. You are not just asking for a purpose, you are planting the seed of it, and in time you will reap the harvest. This is the first step toward becoming a living, breathing testament to the power of your own inherited purpose. You have begun to ask the right questions. You have started to listen for the whispers of your lineage. Now we must turn these clues into a strategy. The truth is, your inherited wisdom is not just for your contemplation. It is a tool for your application. It is the raw material from which you will build your greatest success. To simply admire the blueprint without building from it is a profound waste. Your destiny is not a random path. It is the culmination of all that came before you, given to you as a powerful advantage. I have witnessed this principle in practice time and time again. Consider a man I knew, a man who felt a deep, unexplainable passion for connecting people. He was not a natural public speaker, nor was he a master of any one trade. He was just a natural connector. He would introduce two people, and a great partnership would form. He would hear of a problem and intuitively know who had the solution. For years, he dismissed this as a simple, useless trait. He felt it was a talent without a purpose. He had no idea it was an inherited gift. When he went digging into his family's history, he discovered a long line of community leaders, diplomats, and negotiators. People who, for generations, had been the glue that held their small towns together. The ability to connect was in his very spiritual DNA. Once he saw it, everything changed. He stopped trying to force himself into a career that didn't fit and began to build a life around this inherited strength. He became a consultant, an advisor, a trusted confidant. He used his innate ability to connect people and ideas to solve problems on a grand scale. He wasn't just good at it, he was profoundly effective. He wasn't starting from zero. He was starting with a powerful ancestral advantage. This is the power of strategy. Once you identify a pattern, a lineage of great speakers, a history of builders, a family of problem solvers, you must use that strength to overcome your personal challenges. Do not simply admire the quality, apply it. If your lineage is one of resilience, use that energy to push through the obstacles that would stop a lesser man. If you have a history of creativity, use that natural inclination to innovate and find new solutions where others only see dead ends. Your life's purpose is not a mystery to be solved. It is a masterpiece waiting to be built. And the tools are the very insights you have begun to uncover. The people who feel as though their life is a constant uphill battle often have no idea that they are climbing the wrong mountain. They are trying to build something without consulting the architectural plans. The man who harnesses his inherited wisdom, however, finds that the climb becomes a powerful, fulfilling journey because he is going in the direction he was always meant to go. Your destiny is not a predetermined fate. It is a partnership between your conscious mind and your profound, inherited potential. Your assignment is this. Take one of the insights you have gained so far, one pattern, one talent, one spiritual echo you have recognized, and write down one specific way you can use it to address a current challenge in your life. Don't think about what is difficult, think about what is yours, and then take action on it. Today, you will discover that the most powerful force in the universe is not what you find outside of yourself, but what you choose to activate within. This is a crucial point, and it is one you must confront with courage. If your ancestors were held back by fear, by poverty, or by indecision, you may have inherited that echo as well. What I call generational curses are not acts of magic. They are simply patterns of thought and behavior that have been passed down from one generation to the next. The man who over-explains his dreams until he has nothing left to build, that is a generational curse. The woman who can't hold on to money because of a history of scarcity, that is a generational curse. These are not flaws in your character. They are burdens you were unknowingly given, and you have the power to stop them right now. I had a student, a man of great intelligence and vision, who could not seem to finish anything he started. He had a dozen brilliant ideas and a dozen unfinished projects. His frustration was a constant low-level hum in his life. He would talk about his dreams in vivid detail, but he would never take the first real, definitive step toward making them real. It was a pattern he saw in his father and his father's father, all men who were almost great. They were all filled with ideas, but paralyzed by a fear of failure so profound they could not act. They had inherited a curse of indecision. It was as if their spirit told them, if you do not start, you can never fail. It was a clever, destructive lie. He had to consciously choose to break that chain. He had to look at his past not just for the gold, but for the rust. He had to see that his indecision was not his own. It was a phantom, an ancestral habit, a spirit of paralysis that he had simply been carrying. He started with one simple, radical action. He chose one project, a small one, and he told no one about it. He worked in silence. He did not ask for opinions. He did not over-explain. He just did the work. That one act of defiance was a declaration to his lineage that the curse ended with him, and the feeling he had when he completed that small project was more powerful than any praise he had ever received. He had not just finished a task, he had broken a chain. You see, the power you hold is immense. You are not just the product of your past, you are the curator of it. You get to decide what you will carry forward and what you will leave behind. Do you see a pattern of scarcity in your family's history? A belief that there is never enough, that money is evil, or that work must be a constant struggle? Then your job is to live with the spirit of abundance, to give freely, to see opportunity, to believe that wealth is simply a tool for good. Do you see a lineage of self-doubt, a pattern of speaking negatively about oneself? Then your assignment is to become a walking testament to confidence, to speak with certainty and power, not with arrogance, but with the quiet knowledge that you are a powerful being. This is not a theoretical exercise. It is the most practical work you will ever do. It is the real-world application of your spiritual wisdom. You have the power to stop a lie that has been told for generations. Your liberation is not just for you. It is for your children and their children and every soul that will come after you. Your act of conscious choice today can free an entire lineage from the chains of the past. It is a profound responsibility, and it is a powerful opportunity. It is time to shed the weight. You have gone digging for the gold of your past, and you have shed the rust. But I want you to understand something profoundly important. Your journey is not just for you. It is for those who will come after you. You are a link in a chain, but you are also the start of a new one. Your life, your definiteness of purpose, your conscious choices, your spiritual growth, they will all become a part of the spiritual DNA for those who come after you. Your legacy is not just what you leave behind, it is what you actively create today. I have seen it happen. I have seen a man who came from a lineage of self-doubt and indecision choose to live a life of unwavering purpose. He did not do it for fame or for fortune. He did it because he could no longer stand the feeling of a life unlived. He took action in the face of fear, and he spoke his truths even when his voice trembled. He completed what he started. He built something real, and he did it with integrity. He had no children of his own, but his nephews and his nieces, and even the young people who worked for him were watching. They saw a man who was living a different kind of life, a life of quiet power. They inherited his spirit, not through blood, but through observation and osmosis. They saw that it was possible to live with purpose. They saw that it was possible to face down fear. They learned not from a book, but from a living testament. This man's life became a spiritual gift to an entire new generation. His definiteness of purpose became their foundation. This is the ultimate reason for doing this work. The wisdom you uncover is a tool for your life, yes? The chains you break are for your freedom, yes? But the life you build is a seed you plant for future generations. What will you pass on? Will you pass on a legacy of courage, or a legacy of caution? A legacy of abundance, or a legacy of lack, a legacy of creativity, or a legacy of conformity? You have the most powerful paintbrush in the world in your hands, and you are painting the future. Every single purposeful action you take is a stroke. Every moment you choose to listen to your inner voice is a new color on the canvas. The life you live today is a story that will echo for 100 years. I have never seen a person who lived with a powerful definiteness of purpose who did not, in turn, become a powerful source of inspiration for everyone around them. Your life is not just a personal quest, it is a profound act of service to your lineage, both past and future. It is a way of saying, the struggle of my ancestors was not in vain. I am the harvest they were waiting for. I tell you this with the utmost certainty, you are not put on this earth to simply drift through life. Your life has purpose, and a part of that purpose is to become the lighthouse for someone else. Your destiny is not just a reward for yourself, it is a profound gift to all those who will follow. It is time to live a life worthy of your inheritance. It is time to plant your seed. You were not put on this earth to simply drift through life. Your life has purpose, and a part of that purpose is rooted in the very ground from which you grew. You now understand that the spiritual gifts of your ancestors are not a burden. They are a profound blessing, a blueprint waiting to be read. It is time to stop searching for your purpose out in the world and start looking for it within your own soul, in the rich soil of your past. The past is not a cage, it is a foundation. The future is not a mystery, it is a promise. It is time to begin. Key takeaways and action steps, the blueprint revealed. 1. Your past is not just a story, you are a product of your lineage. The choices, triumphs, and failures of your ancestors created a foundation for you, a spiritual DNA that is a profound part of who you are. 2. The voice of intuition. Your lineage speaks to you not just in stories, but through a calm, firm, intuitive voice. Learning to distinguish this voice from the loud, frantic voice of fear is the key to unlocking your destiny. 3. The cost of misalignment. Ignoring your blueprint leads to a life of friction and a deep, nagging sense of being misplaced. This feeling of hollowness is not a flaw. It is a signal that you are off course. 4. You are the curator of your legacy. You have the power to consciously choose what you carry forward. You can harness the gifts of your ancestors and, with a powerful act of will, Break the negative patterns that have held your lineage back. Your immediate assignment. Seek the pattern. Begin by writing down what you know about your ancestors. Talk to older family members. Look for recurring themes, passions, or struggles. This is not about judgment. It is about discovery. 2. Listen to the intuition. For the next 24 hours, pay attention to every strong intuition or gut feeling you have. Do not act on it, just observe it. This is your first step in learning the language of your own soul. 3. Break one chain. Identify one negative pattern or generational curse in your family history. It could be a pattern of indecision, debt, or fear. Write down one small actionable step you can take today to defy that pattern. Your definiteness of purpose starts with that one small courageous step. Remember, your success begins the moment you decide to act.